This is Jeremy Williams, founder of JLA Realty Omnia Elevate, and this is one of the 60 courses that I offer new and experienced agents that join our organization. For more information about what JLA Realty Omnia Elevate offers and how we can support you in your business, reach out. Today is just going to be an overview. It's an intro into the real estate tools, MLS, Supra eKEY, local MLS portals. We're not going to dive deeply into each one of these, but I think it's important as you're coming on. I know there's a lot of information that's coming your way. It feels like a water hose, is to get an overview and point you in the right direction so that you know, okay, these are the things that are most important to learn. So we're going to jump in here. Okay, so why these tools matter? Think of it as like your command center, the central hub of your business. You're going to be spending a lot of time utilizing the tools that we cover today, so you do need to become familiar with them. For a majority of our members that are in HAR, but it really doesn't matter what board you're in. Most boards will have trainings around these different tools. I'm going to encourage you, get these on your schedule. Don't wait because again, you're going to be spending a lot of time here with these tools and you need to be proficient in them in time. So what we're going to look at today is your MLS login, how to get access to the data for your comps, and also if you get listings, where do those listings go? Supra eKEY, this is how you're going to access those lockboxes. And then the MLS portal. It's a central hub for tools, education, forms, memberships, resources, and a lot more. So depending on your MLS, HAR is an amazing MLS board. They provide lots of information, lots of tools. So I know there's other MLSs which my members are a part of that don't have the tools that HAR has. But there's going to be a resource there for you, and you want to make sure that you tap into it. All right, so what we're going to be learning and accomplishing today is MLS Portal Mastery. And I say mastery with a grain of salt because this is one of those things that's going to take time to learn. It's going to take practice. So I'm going to encourage you to get in there and start working with the tools. Don't practice on a client. That's the worst thing that you can do. Practice on yourself, create scenarios to where you're having to go in and pull the information from your MLS. Market analysis skills. We're going to be talking about your Supra eKEY setup, professional profile development, resource navigation, and then also technical support and awareness. So where to go get that help when you need it. All right, so understanding your MLS, the heart of the business, comprehensive listings, the access to the most up-to-date property listing is going to be through your MLS. A lot of our members pay to have the opportunity to access Bold Trail at a very steep discount of $50 a month. That platform does pull in all the MLS data. Market intelligence, so to pull your comparable sales, your comps, you hear comparable market analysis. Sometimes we'll shorten it down to say CMA, but this is the information that's going to help you with pricing strategy. It's also going to help you if you're working with a buyer to make sure that they're putting in the appropriate offer. Transaction tools, you're going to access document libraries with approved forms, addendums, disclosures, and keep your transactions compliant and professional. There is a platform through, and I believe you have to be a premium member with HAR. But there are tools that in my mind are better. Zip Forms is a great one for that. You already get that through your membership with Texas Realtors. So if you go to texasrealestate.com, you can access all those approved forms. Public records, integrated tax data, the appraisal district, ownership history. You're going to look at property characteristics from some of this that you gather. And then CMA generation. This is creating the CMA, the information that you're going to use to determine pricing, to determine your offers. Showing services. We talked a little bit about setting up the showing service app. So if you go watch one of the previous videos, we walk through that and why it's important to make sure that you have your showing service app set up. MLS, what does it do for you? Well, it's not a database per se. It's a central nervous system for the real estate industry. It's where all the listing information goes. Anything about the properties that are being marketed, every MLS across Texas, whether you're with HAR in Houston, San Antonio is SABOR, and the surrounding areas, Austin's ABOR. There's several MLS boards across the state of Texas. All of them consider it the central nervous system of your business. All right, so the MLS login and navigation. Here's your step-by-step guide on how to get to that. So you're going to locate your board's website. For the Houston area, it's har.com. You're going to get your agent credentials. If you don't have your credentials or you can't remember your credentials, you're going to get that from the board. So you would need to reach out and contact them. If you can't remember your password, they can help you with a reset. Uh, Anytime you're going to be offered a two-factor authentication in today's world, with the amount of fraud that's taking place, the amount of breaches that are happening, is set up the two-factor authentication. I think with Google Workspace, you can set up to like 6 levels of authentication. And you got to think about, you're handling very, very important data and data of your clients. You want to make sure that all that stuff is tightened up. At a minimum, do the two-factor authentication. You're going to create strategic bookmarks. So if you're going to be going to HAR all the time, make it a bookmark. Bookmark it in your browser. If you're going to your CRM, in our case, Bold Trail, bookmark that in your browser. If you're going to go to the Omnia Elevate resource page, which is a page I've created for my agents, it's a central hub of all the tools that we have, all the tools JLA Realty has, training, links to forms and checklists. Bookmark that to your browser. It's important because it's about speed. We don't want to have to keep going back and looking up that information every time we get on the computer. Understanding your MLS dashboard. So once you're logged in, you're going to see a personalized dashboard to where you can quickly access everything. The core systems with the MLS is Matrix. Some companies still use, or boards use Tempo or Paragon. Majority have moved to Matrix. That's where all the listing search, loading listings, CMAs, all that's done. Public record tools like RealList, Remind, CRS data. One I don't have on here is appraisal districts. Great places to find information about properties. And of course, your CMA tools, Cloud CMA or built-in generators for market analysis. So taking that data that you have and making it to a report or something that can be shared and discussed with your clients. Support resources, document libraries, so form disclosures, rules, addendums. Again, for the document, I would lean more on my personal favorite is zip forms. There's other people that use dot-loop or transaction manager. But I like zip forms because they keep the forms updated, and we're already paying for it as a member of Texas Realtors. It serves as an education hub, so tech support, CE courses, webinars, compliance training. By the way, I just want to point out for our agents and even guests that can attend this, we do have boot camps that are led by our broker owner, John Altick, where you can get 5 hours of CE credit, and he covers the 1 to 4 and the listing agreement and then all the addendums that accompany it. It's a class that usually runs from 8 to 3 and it's full of information. You'll get a great experience. You'll get C, and plus you'll walk out with a binder of all the information that you're covering that day. So you can write notes in it, and it becomes, we call it the contract Bible. It's a great resource to go back to when you're working with your clients. Showing tools like Showing Smart or Showing Time. Other boards may have their own. Have a showing service. If you're going to list a property, make sure that you're using a showing service. Don't put your personal number, and most definitely don't put your seller's number. You want to make sure that you're fielding the calls at all times and getting those appointments set. So make sure you're using those tools. All right, so essential MLS skills, these are things that you need to work on. Again, there are classes that are hosted by the MLS boards that will go and walk you through these tools and how to use them at a deeper level. Get those on your schedule. Don't wait. They will walk you through. There's advanced classes as well. So if you want to kind of take it to that next level, but go get signed up for those classes. And in most cases, they're free. Property search is where you're gonna do this here in the MLS. You're gonna run searches by MLS, number, address, subdivision, price range. There'll be a number of different factors that you can look at to find the property that you're looking for. Auto email setup, you need to understand these. We have Bold Trail as well, so you can set this up inside of Bold Trail. You can also set it up inside of Matrix. But learn how to set up those safe searches. It provides automation to your business. It keeps your client aware, and it also keeps you aware in the process as well. Pulling comps. So this is the CMA. So looking at similar homes in a particular neighborhood or geographic area, you're going to typically review 6 month, and I'd even encourage you to start at 3 months of sell history. If you don't get enough data, which would be at least, I would say, 3 to 5 good comps. Then you might go to 6 months. And in some cases where you get out to rural land, you may have to look outside of the area for similar properties. But you're going to be able to pull comps from the MLS. Agent remarks. So agent remarks are things that the public can't see. So this might be confidential showing instructions, offer procedures, things that might be excluded with the property. I have compensation information in there, but you can no longer do that. You cannot put compensation information in agent remarks. So strike that. Status meetings. So understand active. Some boards have active option, pending, coming soon, withdrawn, sold, terminated statuses. So understanding the MLS changes, this is really critical for listing agents. I'm going to harp on you all a little bit. Is that when you do have a status change, make sure that it happens, because there are agents that will go out and set up showings on properties where you're not even accepting a contract anymore because you left it active. But we got to understand those. These should be updated 24 to 48 hours. I think that's too long. As soon as you can, listing agents, get in there and make that change so that the buyer's agents aren't wasting their time. They're not wasting their buyer's time and have a upset buyer, because it makes you look unprofessional when you show up to a house that they're not even accepting contracts. So active status is active, it's on the market. Active option for those that have that is under contract but still showing during the option period. Coming soon is listed but not yet available for showing. So we're going to talk about some rules here in a second on coming soon. Not one of my favorite statuses. Pending status, it's under contract, it's no longer showing. Option pending is same as pending, but it shows option period end date. So this is typically when the buyer's doing their inspections, their due diligence on the property, hasn't moved to pending yet. Pending continue to show, contract signed, but seller is still showing. You'll see this a lot in contingency deals. So if a buyer has a contingency deal, which means they're putting that house under contract, but in order to purchase it, they're needing to sell their current property. You're going to see a lot of the listing agents put it in pending, continue to show. Or if it's a deal where it might be shaky or financing, might be a little shaky, or the listing agent and the seller doesn't feel confident, pending continue to show is often what's going to show up. And then closed statuses. So sold, the transaction closed. Withdrawn, that is removed from market by seller. So when you see the withdrawn, there is still a listing agreement in place. So people that are prospecting for listings, you cannot prospect a withdrawn listing because technically it's still in the listing agreement. It's just been removed from the market by the seller. Terminated, the contract has fallen through and returned to the market. All right, Supra eKEY, your digital lockbox access. Important to have the eKEY, and we're going to talk about some good practices here. So it replaces the physical key. If you go back to the days when I started, you had the punch boxes, which are not very secure, by the way. Don't ever use those if you're a listing agent. Use a Supra key, Supra lockbox. But it's Bluetooth enabled smartphone app that allows you to open these boxes. Without your eKEY set up properly in sync, you cannot access the property. So it's important that you get this set up. So to complete the setup process, you're going to download the app to your phone. You can find this in the iOS App Store, Apple, or Google Play Store, and install it on your phone. You're going to get an authorization code from your MLS board, and this will be unique just to you. You're going to enter that code in the app to activate your account. You're going to create for yourself a 4-digit PIN. You'll enter this every time you open a box. So you want to make it something that you're familiar with because you don't want to forget. You want to make sure you enable the permissions. You want to grant the app access to Bluetooth and location services. If you don't do this, you're not going to be able to open the box. It needs to be set that way for the eKey to function properly. This is one of the biggest ones, is sync your key daily. And I know it's one of those things, it just becomes a habit, becomes a routine, but it's something you have to build. It's not a normal task, but you need to make it a normal task in your routine. So you're going to tap sync in the app every morning before showings. And most MLS boards require weekly syncing minimum, but it's best to do it daily. So what are some best practices in troubleshooting when it comes to your eKey is always keep your Bluetooth enabled during all showings. Charge your phone before morning appointments. Sync your key first. Let's go back to that one. Fully charge your phone before morning appointments. You do not want to drive an hour and a half to a rural showing that has a super lockbox on it and meet your client there and then realize your phone is not charged or you have not synced your app. And you might think, well, I can just sync it there. Well, you get to some of these locations where you don't get service. And so you want to make sure, again, fully charged, sync the key. Test your eKey on office lockboxes monthly or your own personal lockboxes just to make sure that it still works. And then keep the super support number saved on your phone. And that's the number there, 877-699-6787. So if you do get in a pinch and you do need to reach out to somebody, you're able to reach out to support for help. So why won't a lockbox open? There's a few reasons why. You don't have your phone directly against the lockbox, or it's too far away from the lockbox. You have your Bluetooth off, so toggle it off and toggle it back on. Force close the eKey app and reopen it. So sometimes you just need to go to a force close, reopen it. It's just like rebooting your computer. When your computer doesn't work, just close it down and restart it. 9 times out of 10, it'll work. Resync your key if you have a signal. And again, when you're doing those rural properties, you might not have a signal. Try entering your PIN again carefully. Maybe you put in the wrong key, and then call Super Support if that issue persists. Guys, one of the most embarrassing things you can have happen is you get to a property and you cannot open the lockbox. Your buyers are sitting there wondering what is going on. All right, so the MLS board, your professional hub, profile and branding. So we did a class earlier. You can find it here on the YouTube channel, and it was about building out your profiles. There's many reasons to do that. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Yet you want to make sure that your MLS profile is fully updated and branded. You want to have your bio there, all your contact information. If you have an outside website, make sure that's there. And you don't want somebody going to the MLS. Like HAR does a very good job at promoting their agents. If you do a search for them, you don't want them to go there and see that you have no headshot or that you've got the generic bio that's there that's like 2 or 3 lines that say I help home buyers, sellers, and investors, because that's not very compelling. Fill out that information. And it's not just for the consumer, but it might also be for agents outside of the area. They're looking to say, hey, I might not be in the Houston area, but I'm looking for a great Houston agent to send a referral to. Marketing tools, depending on the MLS board, there may be more marketing tools with some than others. But take a look. There's oftentimes free, and a lot of them are free. And there's going to be also paid. For instance, with HAR, they have a premium that you can pay, and it gives you more tools that you could utilize. Transaction tools. I know that HAR provides Transaction Manager and also dot loop. Again, my preference is zip form, but you get to pick what you work would like to work with and what you think's the most easiest to facilitate a contract. Education and support. MLS boards will oftentimes have CE classes that you can attend, classes that may not be CE, but just industry specific, that can help you in your business. So watch for those and look at which ones fit within your business plan and attend those. Your critical first task is log into your MLS board within 48 hours of receiving your credentials to make sure that they work and get that profile completed. Incomplete or outdated profile looks just unprofessional to potential clients and listing partners. Folks, I don't want to harp on this too much, but I want to go back to the profile issue is if I'm hiring you to sell my 500,000 or my $1 million home or even my $100,000 home, I'm going and doing a little research about you first. And if I'm going to different portals that are being marketed, your MLS board marketing your profile, and I don't see a picture or I don't see any information about you, I'm going to question either making that decision or I'm going to question the decision I've already made. So it's really, really important. Just it's being professional as a business owner. All right, so rules, support, and your success at checklist. So non-negotiable MLS rules. Every board has rules that you have to follow. If not, you get fined. It's not often happen, but I do have members that make a mistake, and you do get fines for these. So make sure that you're following the rules or have an understanding of the rule. If you don't understand or don't know the rule, contact them. They'll be happy to share with you and let you know how to avoid that fine. A lot of times they'll give you the opportunity to correct it first, and then it's when you don't correct it that fine comes. Data accuracy, you have to make sure that all the information, if you're putting in a listing, is truthful, it's been verified, and it's complete. So you can't exaggerate anything, you can't leave things out, and you can't provide misleading details. Timely updates, if there's a status change, again, within 24 to 48 hours, a great agent is going to make that change immediately. So make sure that, again, if you're a listing agent, just out of respect for the buyer's agents out there, make the change. If there's showing scheduled and the seller has no intention of taking in another offer, is reach out to that buyer's agent and let them know, hey, I just want to let you know we accepted a contract today and we're canceling the appointments. Coming soon rules. You cannot market a coming soon listing in social media or public websites without proper MLS status. As soon as you do, it has to go into the MLS. And so that's why I'm not a big fan of it because I think the coming soon, you lose a lot of momentum in the marketing of it because the agents can see it. They just can't do anything with it. Fair housing. Okay. This is federal. So don't mess up on this one. No discriminatory language in listings, remarks, or communications ever. This includes seemingly innocent terms. So it's not a catch-all, but you can take your property descriptions and just run it through ChatGPT and ask it, is this violating any fair housing laws, or write it in a way that doesn't violate fair housing laws. And if you're going to do that prompt, I would also recommend um, I want to make sure that this doesn't violate fair housing laws, TREC, HAR, or whatever board you're in, TXR, or NAR marketing rules or policies. So it covers the whole gamut, the fair housing, which is federal, and then everything else, which might be regulatory around your industry and the license. Don't violate that one. That's a bad one to violate. Photo standards. Images must be high quality, well lit, accurately represent the property. You can't go in there and change the color of the home. If it's got rocks in the front yard, you can't go in there and make it look like it's got a beautiful green lawn. Also, stop taking pictures with your cell phone. You can tell pictures are one of the things that make a listing move faster. So if you have great photos taken by a professional photographer, they know how to make it look great and stand out. Um, don't use your cell phone. And I get it on things like rentals. You might use that. But if you're selling a home, use professional photos. And also make sure you hit the minimum. Some MLSs require different minimums of how many pictures you must include with a property, or you get fined. Lockbox security. Super lockboxes must be secure, accessible to agents, and properly paced per MLS and seller instructions. So if it's not going to be on the front door, maybe it's on a side door or fence or something like that, you need to make sure that's in the showing instructions. And I would also include that as an agent remark for the property. Don't have especially when it gets close to dark or is dark, don't have that buyer's agent looking all over the property for a lockbox. Make sure the instructions are very, very clear. And don't use punch boxes because once that code gets out, there's no telling who that code may be given to. So be very, very careful with that. Um, again, using a super lockbox is highly recommended. So where do you go to get help? MLS tech support. So call your MLS. They'll help you. Supra support. Call 877-699-6787 for any lockbox problems. For our agents, it's our leadership. So call myself or call Robbie first. And then if need be, we can connect with John Alptic, who is our broker owner and also partner in JLA Realty Omnia Elevate. New agent setup checklist. This is just a short checklist to get you moving in the right direction. So your MLS portal, so make sure your login's created, password is saved and secure. It's bookmarked to your dashboard, complete your profile, photo and bio included. Property search tested successfully. So go search for a property that's on the market and make sure you understand how to do that. So that's one. Your Supra eKEY, download the app, open it, put in your authorization code, create your secure PIN, make sure Bluetooth is and location are enabled so that it functions properly, and then sync successfully, and then test it on a lockbox. And then last, board portals, contact information is updated, professional bio written, headshot uploaded, service area specified. Folks, Houston is a gigantic area. And if you just have Houston in there, but maybe you live in the greater Houston area like I do, my services areas as an agent might be Kingwood, Portal, Humble, Atascocita, not Houston. So I need to make sure I specify that. It's also a rule with TREC, geographical competency, is you have to be competent in the areas that you serve. So don't put areas that you think you know, because that can get you into a lot of trouble. For instance, I know a lot of agents in different parts of Houston that also say they specialize in Galveston, but have never sold a coastal property. Very different transaction process, very different things to consider. So make sure that in your bios, if you're sharing service areas, keep in mind geographic competency. You know what? If you don't know that area, send it as a referral. Get paid 25, 30%, save gas, and it ends up working out to be a pretty good deal. So I want to give you some homework. You got to practice. Again, do not practice on your clients. Don't wait for that first phone call and they're like, Jeremy, we're ready to go look at homes. And you're like, okay, I've got to figure out how to use the MLS. No, start practicing. So number one, run a property search in your farm area, in your geographic area, using at least 5 search criteria. I'm going to give you price range, beds, baths, square footage. Screenshot your results. 2, pull 3 comparable sales for a recently sold home in your target area. Adjust for differences in size, conditions, and features. Save or screenshot the comps. 3, create and save one auto email search for a hypothetical buyer client. Send weekly updates. Use your own email as a test recipient and forward the auto email you receive to your productivity coach, your team leader, your manager, your broker, that can review that for you. Here's what I'll challenge you with that task three is the hypothetical buyer client. Call somebody in your sphere of influence that knows, loves, and trusts you and wants to support you in your business and do a auto email search for properties in their specific area. Guess what that does? It gives them the information of what their property might be worth, and they may think about selling. So don't make it necessarily a fake client. Make it somebody in your sphere of influence that'll support you, and it could turn into additional business for you. So why does this matter? The skills you use in your first week with real clients. Practicing now will give you that confidence for when you have a buyer or seller that you're working with in the future. Two, Supra eKEY testing. You're going to successfully sync your Supra key, take a screenshot of the successful sync confirmation. Two, with permission from your broker, team leader, accountability partner, open a lockbox on a JLA Realty listing or office, document the showing history you see in the app. Three, practice troubleshooting. Close the app, completely turn off the Bluetooth, reopen the app, and re-enable the Bluetooth. Time how long this process takes so you can be prepared if it happens during a real showing. There are some times that we may get into situations like we go on a flight and we put it in airplane mode. Okay, so we got to understand how to get to those different settings on our phone on the fly so we can make those adjustments quickly. So why does this matter? Malfunctioning AE can ruin your showing schedule, frustrate your client, cost you deals. So you got to be able to troubleshoot independently and quickly. And this is not one of those things you can call your broker necessarily because they're not there. They can't see your phone. So you need to, as an agent, you need to get very proficient with this because you're going to be on your own when this happens. Got to figure it out. Three, professional profile setup. So upload a professional headshot to your MLS board portal. Should be bright, smiling, appropriate for professional use. Don't use selfies. Don't be wearing sunglasses. That's that sort of thing. Look at those. Here's what I'll go and look at what top agents are doing and mimic that. You're going to write a short bio, 100 to 150 words that highlights your service areas, your value proposition, what makes you different. The focus on benefits should be on the clients, not about you. It's what can you do for them. Three, you're going to input your service areas, cities, neighborhoods, zip codes, specialties. Do you work with residential buyers, first-time buyers, veterans, etc.? Why this matters, your public profile appears on every listing in showing confirmations and public searches in AI search results. So if you have an incomplete profile, it signals to other agents, potential clients that you're just not really that serious about your business. And that's why agents get a bad rep, is because there's a lot of people out there that aren't serious. So be the serious one. If you ever have questions, you get stuck, you need help, reach out to our leadership team here at JLA Realty Omni Elevate. Again, if you're not a member with us and you're currently with another brokerage and maybe you're seeking out an organization like ours that believes in trainings, support, education, you building your own personal brand, and you want to have that conversation, I'd love to have that with you. Just reach out to me. But if you're with us, reach out and either myself, one of our directors, or broker John Altick can be of assistance. We're here to ensure your success. We want you to be successful in your business and want you to achieve your goals. And we know that the goals that you achieve are probably impacting other people, like your spouse or your kids or your family, or it gives you the opportunity to travel and do more things. And we support that. So it's not about just business here at JLA Realty Omni Elevate. It's also about life. So again, if you need our assistance, reach out. And that is the conclusion of this class. And if I could be of any assistance, reach out. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, as I'll be dropping additional trainings in the future to be able to help you in your business. And if I could be a resource, again, give me a call. Take care.